advanced levels of Python. Nothing but we are going with the OOPS concept. Okay. So OOPS generally it came from the C++, but here we are using in the Java and even the Python. In the Python, we are using only classes, objects, inheritance and the polymorphism. Okay, we are discussing entire thing today with the all syntaxes. How can we create the classes, objects, even the inheritance, polymorphism, everything. Okay, so that while doing the programming you can be able to understand it very nicely. Learning the concept of the polymorphism, constructors and the composition concept is very important while writing the programming in Python. And the Python creation, do you know there is some special methods like initializing the classes, initializing the objects and creating the inheritance. Let us learn all the things today. Good morning students, welcome back to our channel Subhashi at the Tech Guide. Today we are discussing the entire concept of OOPS in Python because it is the advanced levels of the Python. Generally OOPS started with the C++. In the C++ we are having the 8 concepts of the OOPS, but in the Python we are discussing only classes, objects, inheritance and the polymorphism, and if possible we can go for the constructors also, but constructor is not the part of OOPS, it's a different from the OOPS. Okay, but it is necessary to understand the constructors because while creating the inheritance it will be very useful to you. Okay, if you learn the basic things of this OOPS concept, you can be able to write the programming very perfectly. Now without any delay, let us start the class.
Our topic is OOPS concept, a OOPS concept in Python. Okay, generally the OOPS concept starts from C++, and in C++ we have to go for 8 concepts regarding the OOPS. That is, first one is classes, objects, data encapsulation, data abstraction, inheritance, polymorphism, dynamic binding. So generally we consider the OOPS concepts like this. But coming to, of course, in the Java also we have to go through all these things, and even for the abstract classes also. But especially in the Python, we go for classes, objects, inheritance, polymorphism. Okay, only these concepts can be used in Python. Now, in Python, we can construct over the constructors, and regarding the polymorphism, we can go for the overriding concept also. And one composition concept is the, which is very important for writing the program. So these are the complete concepts today we are going to discuss. And coming to the OOPS concept, here classes and objects, the definitions, what are the definitions of class and object, and the syntax is how can we create the class and object. Everything regarding the OOPS concept can be known today perfectly done. And it is very important to note down the syntaxes of classes and objects, and some important methods are there which are important to make the initialization of the classes and objects, especially in Python. So these concepts has to be discussed today. Now let us start the first concept. Now let us go for the definition of the OOP in Python. OOPS is a object-oriented programming structure, or it can be called as object-oriented programming language. Sometimes some people may be called as object-oriented programming paradigm. Okay, and everything you can call it any way, no problem. It's nothing but the OOPS, OOPS is up to the C++. From the Java itself, we call it as only OOP. Okay, so object-oriented programming in Python is a programming paradigm that organizes the code using the classes and especially objects. And these can be considered as the real-time world entities and the behaviors also. It can be, why we need to use the OOPS concept means it promotes the modularity, reusability of the program and scalability for the software development. This point is very important. Especially these OOPS and classes are used and defined for reusability of the program, and it defines like, and it seems like very scalability for the software development. So OOP stands for object oriented programming, and it is allowing a structure for the code using the classes and objects for better organization and the reusability. Suppose if you get any question like what is the definition of the OOP, simply you can write this. So OOP stands for an object-oriented programming language, allows to touch or to make a structure of your code by using the classes and objects for better organization and reusability of the code. It is used for making the scalability of the software development. This point is very important regarding the OOP. Okay. Now, what are the advantages of the OOPs? So, it provides a clear structure to the programming, the making code easier to maintain the reuse, and it is used for debugging the errors very easily. It helps us to write the code, and it allows us to build and reusable of the applications with the less code. This is very important. That means the length of the code will be reduced by using the classes and objects. Next thing, to debug the compiler, it maintains very easily so that we can debug the errors very easily. Okay. Now, what are the main concepts here in Python especially? The main concepts are classes, object, encapsulation, inheritance, polymorphism, and I will explain a small concept of the abstraction and constructors, overriding concept of the polymorphism, and composition. These are the main concept. Of course, constructors, overriding in the compositions are not considered as the OOPs. Okay. Here, OOPs can be considered up to polymorphism itself. Okay. Even the abstraction is also a concept of the data abstraction and the abstraction class. So, we can go up to this one. If it is anything, we can go for the abstraction. That's it. But mainly, I can say OOPs concepts in the Python will be classes, object, encapsulation, inheritance, and the polymorphism. Okay. Let us go the definitions for the classes first. Entire concept of the OOPs. Classes are nothing but creating the objects, and it defines the data and methods for the objects. Generally, up to the C++ or up to the C language, we call it as the data types. But from the C++, the data types can be called as the data members. That is the data member. And the functions, we calling the functions here as a methods. So class can be considered as a combination of data types or functions. Or we can say a collection of data types and the functions to create an object. Okay. For the creation of the object or for holding the object, a class is necessary. That is, it is an instance. Okay. Class acts as an instance so that the object can hold the specific data and perform the actions which are defined in the class. The class members and the class functions, the class methods can be accessible by using the objects only. Now, encapsulation. Encapsulation is nothing but hiding the data from the another class. That is nothing but restricting some access to the parts of the object which can protect its integrity. We can hide the data from the another class so that it cannot access the variables of the previous class. If you want some restriction, that concept is called as encapsulation. Next, inheritance. Inheritance is a mechanism to create a new class from the old class. Okay. A new class is called as the child class, and this can be also called as derived class. And the old class is called as parent class, and it is also called as base class. Okay. So inheritance is a mechanism to create a new class which inherits the attributes and the methods from the existing class. This existing class is nothing but our parent class. And this is also called as base class. Child class is called as derived class, and it is also called as the child class. Okay. So it inherits the attributes and the methods of the previous class without changing the definitions of that classes. Okay. Next is the polymorphism. Polymorphism is nothing but a single interface for different data types or the classes. Here, the same name. Poly means same and morphism means function. So we can create here function or as per the Python, we can call it as the method. So polymorph is nothing but creating the different methods with the same name. Okay. Abstraction is nothing but hiding the complex implementations from showing the unnecessary things to the features of another class. That is called as abstraction. This may be probably equal, but here we can use the abstract classes in abstraction. Okay. Now let us see the syntax to create a class. To create a class in Python, we use a keyword called as class. The special keyword is used which is called as class. If you want to create an object, suppose this is my class. Here this is the user defined class. So a class can be created. At first a class can be created. Now using the object we can write a variable name and the class name. So this variable name is considered as a object. Next, the class is which we have created at first. This is the class. Directly the variable which is there, the x is the variable of the class and we are accessing this x variable of the class by the object. Now suppose class is the keyword in Python to create a class and this is my class name. This is the user defined class name. We are creating a class name by the name of my class. Okay. This can be whatever you want, you can give that name, but don't use the predefined keywords or predefined functions. Okay. Next. Now here, suppose my x equals to 5 and suppose I am writing P1. P1 is the object now, my class, and I am calling the class here. This is the how we can call the class. Okay. Now simply print P1 dot x. Nothing but we are accepting the x value. We are calling the x value by means of the object. Here P1 is the object and x is the variable of the class. So like this, we can use the class name. Here our answer will be 5. Okay. Like this we can go. Only the thing is we can write any name for the class, that is for the user defined classes, but don't use the predefined keywords or predefined methods, predefined functions should not use. Okay. This is the only concept and we have to note here. Okay. Now let us go one important method. Before that, let me explain again once what is the class. So we can write a data with the value 1 and all this can be called as the class data attributes. That nothing but data types. But here we are calling it as a attributes. Okay. And these are the functions. If you want to use the class member functions, we can create a member function by the keyword of def. That is definition of the function and use the arguments. And self is the one special variable. I will tell about this. Like this, we can write different types of class member functions also. So simply, I can call what is a class means class name. Okay. And here, whatever we write the data members, nothing but simply in a simple language, I can say some different data types and variables. Nothing but declaration parts. Okay, all the data types. Next, some functions. So this is a class of collection with data members and the member functions. Okay. So for writing the class member functions, we can use a predefined keyword def and we can define the functions also here. And even the functions can be called by means of the object like P1 dot. This is object, right? So P1 dot function name. If you want to call a variables, then P1 dot or P1 is the object and data 1. Okay. For the calling of the data members and the member functions. This is how we can create a classes and the class data attributes and class member functions. Now let me explain you one important method which is called as initial method. So to understand the meaning of the classes, a built-in function is there, a built-in method is there which is called as init, that is initial method. Okay. All the classes of the method called as initial can be executed when the class is being initiated. When the class is initialized, then this is automatically executed. Using the initial method to assign the values to the objects and properties, it is necessary when the object is being created or not. If the object is created, then automatically the class is going to be initialized. That is the original meaning of this. Let me explain this one using the one example. If even here, I will use one self also. Okay. Let us write one example using the initial method. First, define the class, and this is my class name. Okay. Now here, I'm initializing the class. So P is my object and these are my arguments, and you can make it as arguments or variables, parameters, whatever. You can use that one. Okay. Now, access like P dot name is equal to name object dot and P dot some age equals to some age. Now I'm using the object P1 is equals to class name, my class, and suppose I'm passing one name and some age. Okay. Automatically this name can be initialized to the name and argument, that is age here, and after that it can be assigned to the simple variables of name and age. So here we are going to print like print P1 dot name and print P1 dot age. Okay, then it is printed. Like this we can write the definition with the initial method. So define an initial method here using the classes. So this is very important while writing the initial method. Okay. Now let us learn some methods. How can we create here? These methods I am using here. One self. Self is a reference of instance for the class and it is used to access the variables which are belonging to the class. Let us go very deep into the class methods. So to create the methods, our own methods inside the object, we have to create the functions which are belongings to that object. Okay. Here my class is person. Now I'm initializing like definition, initialize, self, name and age. So this self is nothing but it is a parameter which is used to refer the current instance of the class and it is used to access the variables which are belongs to the class. Okay. That's why self dot name, that is self dot name equals to some variable, self dot age equals to some again age. Okay. Now here I'm calling the function like definition my function. This is another function or another method we are creating here. This is a user defined function or method. Okay. Here we are creating one class and one method. And now I'm calling the method or the class by means of the class name. That is P1 is the object is equal to class and the parameters of name and age. Okay. Here I'm calling object name dot the function name. Like this, we can create the methods using the classes. The most important thing is in this method, I have used the initial method and I have used one parameter which is called as a self. Let me explain again what is self. Self is a reference that nothing but to access the variables of the class which belongs to that. Okay, that is called as self. Now, let us learn something more about the self parameter. Self is a parameter which is a reference to the current instance of the class and it is used to access the variables which are belonging to the class. We can say this is the definition of a self parameters. Okay. Now the thing is, it doesn't have the name self. Okay. You can call it whatever you like, but it has to be the first parameter of any function of the class. What I mean to say is, it is not a compulsion that we have to write self there. It is not a compulsion. We can write any name on that place, but it should be the first parameter. Nothing but if you are passing the arguments, the first parameter which is passing to the class itself is called as a self parameter. Okay. By default, if you want to use the default parameter, you can go for SELF. Otherwise, you can create your own self parameters. Okay. See. Here class, class name and this is the self parameter, but I have used the name as my object, right? So my object works as a self parameter. Like this, we can write your own name. Only the condition it should be the first parameter of the class. Okay. So this is my object is the self parameter. Name is another one and age is another one. I'm initializing these variables by the self parameter. Like my object dot name equals to some variable. My object dot age equals to another variable. Here I'm using the method called as my function, and here some variable, that is some parameter has to be passed. So I'm writing like hello, my name is, okay, and abc dot name. Okay. Now I'm passing the Varshita. Varshita is connected to the name here and it is again passed to the name here. Then we will get the output like hello, my name is Varshita. Okay. Since we are printing only the name, so we get only the name. If you want the age, again we have to write the another parameter like suppose my function, because we are taking only one parameter, right? So we are going the one parameter. If you want anything else, you can go with the another parameter and we can pass the age to the function also. Even though we are declaring or initializing or we are passing two parameters in the function, I am passing only one parameter, that is only name. So I get only name. Okay. Like this, we can use the methods using classes also. Okay. Now, to delete the object property, we can delete the properties of the object itself by using a keyword called as del. Simply del and the object name. Then automatically the object can be deleted. Okay. One more thing is there, the pass statement. So class definitions cannot be empty generally. It should not be empty. So for some reason, suppose if the class definition has no content, then we can write like pass statement. That is, suppose class, and suppose if you define one class name and there is no content to define there, simply we can write the pass statement. Okay. So pass is the one more keyword. Here this pass keyword is used, that is the statement when the class is empty, then the pass statement can be used in that class. That is the point of the pass statement. Okay. Now let us go for the inheritance concept. Before that, let me explain one thing. Inheritance is nothing but at first one class has to be defined. Okay. This is suppose some class A and this is the base class. Apart from this base class, suppose if you want to extend the class, then we can go for the inheritance. And this B class will inherit all the methods and properties of the class A. Okay. Without modifying the class A, we are creating a new class. And this old class is called as parent class. Old class is called as parent class and the new class is called as child class. Okay. All the child class will have the inherits the objects, properties, methods, attributes, everything of the parent class. Okay. Now see, inherits allows us to define a class that inherits all the methods and properties from the another class. Now here the parent class is the inherited from and it is also called as base class. Child class is that inherits from another class and it is called as the derived class. This is important here. Now let us see some deeply about the inheritance. Now inheritance is designed to move a relationships of suppose of x and a y. Here one example is their shape and this is a super class here which is also called as a base class or this is also called as a parent class. From this class we are defining a three new classes by taking all the attributes and properties of the shape, that is rectangle, circle and triangle. This is called as subclass or it is also called as derived class and it is also called as child class. So this is about the inheritance classes. Okay. Let us know something more about the inheritance. So the functions and the attributes of a superclass are inherited by a subclass. Suppose here the shape color is a superclass and the rectangle is the subclass. So the color is the method which is inherited by the subclass. So an inherited class can be overridden, modified, or the arguments of the functions and the attributes of the parent class. That is important here. Now, creating a subclass. So, while creating a subclass, we use class and the shape. Here, I pass it because nothing is there to me to write the program. So, we can write the pass if it is necessary. And this is the super class. Now, the subclass can be created as class, and this is the subclass, that is nothing but the child class. Here, I'm using the shape, that is the inherited shape. And I'm writing one function called as def area, and here I'm using some cells. We can return by width and height, that is width into height of a rectangle. Okay, like this we can use the superclass and subclass of the inheritances. Okay, now let me explain you how can we write the program in a simple way. Of course, here it is a simple superclass, that is class shape. Here I have created one self dot color. So my attribute here is the color. Okay. Now this color can be used in the next class, that is called as our child class or subclass. My child class is rectangle. Here the shape I have initialized like this. It is corrected automatically the previous class. Now here we are going some variables or some arguments, width and height. So width and height. Now I am returning the width and height. So need to call one constructor here. Let me explain you what's the constructor later. So here we need to call one constructor called as the self. Now the simple function inherited from the shape. Okay. So this is our parent class and this is our child class. Now see R1 dot rectangle we have passed some 10, 5. Okay. The width is 10, the height is 4 and the color and the area is 50 and the color is our 0, 0, 0. Like this, we can get the variables of the parent class on the basis of the child class. Now we defined only the object for the child class. Rectangle is our child class. We didn't create an object for the parent class. We have created the object for the child class itself. Okay. So for the creation, R1 is the object and here we have used the child class, that is rectangle. Nothing but suppose if A is the superclass and B is the subclass, for calling a function we write B and the variable name. Okay, that is the object name and the variable of the subclass. So the object name and the class of the subclass, we can call only class of the subclass. This is very important. Okay. Now let us go for the polymorphism. Two objects of the different classes with the same set of functions, attributes can be created identically. That is called as polymorphism. That means it implements internally, but outwards it differs like. That means by the appearance it will say shown like same thing, but internally we pass the different variables or different data members. That is polymorphism. Suppose two different classes that contains the area. Now see, rectangle, here I am containing the area and even here I am writing the area. But internally there is something different. In this one, the area is width into height. But here the area is pi r square. This is our area. But here our area is width into height. That differs. But outside it seems like the rectangle of the area and the circle of the area is same because the names are same. But the values, the parameters which are passed will be different. Okay. That nothing but two different classes that contains the same function of the area. That concept is called as polymorphism. Here the two classes treated as identically, but see, result of the area will be 20, but the result of the circle will be 28 because it differs regarding the formula. So this is the concept of polymorphism. Okay. Now the constructor. When an instance of a class is created, the class constructor function is automatically called. Okay. Nothing but suppose for example, the constructor is always named with the initial method. It contains the initializing a new instance of the class by a specific initial stage, that is called as a constructor. Now here, suppose class person is there, I have initialized with in it. Now I am making that constructor taking an initial value from the instance of the name directly. So this is the concept. Suppose if I am writing hello and self, I am calling the self directly, that the first parameter directly, then here we consider as a constructor. Generally, if can say constructor is nothing but the class name generally. The class name and the method name is same. If the class name and the method name is same, then it is called as a constructor. Okay. Now these constructors can be created most probably to make the instance of the class from the initial state itself. Okay. That is the concept of constructor. Now overriding. Overriding means, for example, here class counter and increment we have used. Even here we have used the again increment, same name. And this overriding will be found by means of the polymorphism. Okay. Now calling the increment here and the calling the increment also here on the customer, this concept is called as the overriding. Calling with the same name, then it is called as the overriding. Okay. Now here the class is the counter. Of course, the class name is different. Here my class is the class counter and I am calling the class here. Nothing but the variables of this counter and the variables of the custom counter may be interconnected because it forms an inheritance. We can access the variables of the counter and the custom counter with a single object. Then if you are making the same methods with the two different methods with the same name, the concept of the overriding will be exist. Okay. Understood? So let me explain again. Suppose if it is the different classes, it don't mind, but these are the same classes. So it means it goes for the overriding. Okay. Composition. Classes can be built from smaller classes and it allows some relationship between two classes. Suppose, for example, here I have taken a class department. Here it is a student. Now here department and student may be interconnected, right? So we can make the interconnection between two classes. That means we can allow some model relationship between two classes. That concept is called as the composition. Now, how can we make a composition? Means first class can be defined here. The object can be defined by means of the first class and the variables can be passed by means of the object and the class like this. Like this. Okay. This is called as the composition and we can print directly a composition of the students. First class, the object name dot the class name. This concept is called as the composition. Creating here one student and adding the department to the class. This is the concept. Simply I can say what is a composition? It is a relationship which can be made between two different classes. It is not an inheritance concept. Inheritance is different, composition is a different. It looks like a similar, but inheritance is nothing but the child class can access all the attributes and the methods of the parent class directly. But here, see, we are using by means of the object only. That is called as a composition. Okay. And this is the class about today. Thank you.
So this is the class about today. We have discussed entire concept of the classes and the objects and the initial function, that is init. This is very important while initializing the classes. Done. And we have discussed the inheritance, polymorphism and most importantly constructors, overriding and the composition of the Python level. Done. These are very important while writing the programming. Learn this basic concept so that you can write the programming using the functions, using the classes and the objects and using the inheritance very perfectly. Now, I hope you learned something from this video. If you learned something from this video, please like, share and subscribe. Thank you.